missing someone.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena and I make lots of content about software engineering as well as vlogs, and you should check out my channel if you are interested in more of that content. But just to jump into today's video, today is actually really special because I did an interview with two other people and we're going to compare the differences between getting a CS degree the traditional route by going to college, which is what I did, teaching yourself to code, or going to a coding boot camp. Today I'm going to be interviewing Jessica and Sarah, who are both YouTube content creators as well, so you can check them out in my description. Their channels are amazing and they have great videos, especially on the topic that we're going to cover today. Both had no experience coding, were not software engineers or web developers, but then decided to do a career transition, and so Sarah went to a coding boot camp and became a software engineer, and Jessica taught herself how to code and became a web developer. If you're not familiar with me, I went to college and got a computer science degree the traditional route, and I am now a software engineer. So today we're going to be comparing and contrasting these three ways of learning to code, seeing what we liked and didn't like about each of our experiences, some of the challenges we faced, and hopefully this helps you make a good decision on, if you are interested to code, which of these three paths is going to be the best for you: going to college, going to a boot camp, or teaching yourself. So in connection with the video topic today, today's video is sponsored by Coding Dojo. Coding Dojo is a full-time or part-time coding boot camp which can help you land your dream job in tech. Coding Dojo stands apart from the rest for three reasons. The first is its admissions process, which assesses your drive and willingness to learn over your formal tech education. The second is its three-stack experience, in which you learn more front-end and back-end technologies than any other full-stack program out there. The third is its lifetime career services, which means that you'll have access to the Coding Dojo Career Services team no matter how long ago you graduated from the bootcamp. Coding Dojo is ranked #1 in outcomes nationwide, with 89.1% of graduates landing a job in tech within 6 months of graduating and 95.3% landing a job within 1 year. Coding bootcamps are recognized by employers as a viable route to landing a job in the industry, which you'll hear more about today. If you're interested in Coding Dojo, check out the link in my description to learn more. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's super nice to have you both here. So I'm just going to ask you two to introduce yourselves if you want to give a little background on who you are, and then I'll introduce myself as well. So Jessica, do you want to go first?
Sure. So my name is Jessica. I am from Dayton, Ohio. Really small town, not too much going on, but I accidentally found myself in Tech Town. Coincidentally, where I live right now is Tech Town in my area. So there's a lot of different tech companies building up around us. And I don't know if that was just like, I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I'm a self-taught web developer and I am a mom of 2 daughters and a little puppy girl. So I'm surrounded by girls.
Awesome. And Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself too?
Yeah, I'm Sarah. I live in Chicago. I am a full-time software developer. Went to a coding boot camp. I'm about 3-ish years into my career at this point.
Nice. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lena. I currently live in New York and I'm also a software engineer, but I went to college, so perhaps a more traditional route. So today we're going to talk about the differences between learning to code via college, teaching yourself, or going to a boot camp. And I think everybody here has sort of a different perspective on this because of the way that they learn to code. So yeah, I just want to get into it, I guess. So why did y'all decide to learn to code?
I had a couple reasons. I think I was looking for a career path that allowed me location freedom and good pay, and programming seemed like a reasonable option for those things. And then also I had gotten into blockchain and investing in cryptocurrencies, and I realized that I was really fascinated by how all of it worked, and I decided that I wanted to try out a career in tech and see if coding was for me.
Cool. Yeah, Jessica?
So I accidentally found tech. I was, long story short, working on a blog, and there were some things that needed to be fixed because I was using WordPress. And after doing some research, I found out that something was broken in the HTML. At that time, I didn't know what that was, but because I had to research that to fix it, I started just going down this rabbit hole of, okay, like what's CSS and all these other things that make up the components of the website. And ever since then, I've just been kind of like putting my hands in to teach myself. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And I guess I decided to go into tech because I really liked math and I liked computer science, that kind of problem solving. So I just wanted to explore it more. And then I just found myself becoming a software engineer just because that's what I was majoring in college. So this is like the meat of, I guess, this video, this question. So how did you decide that you were going to teach yourself or go to a boot camp, depending on whichever route you chose?
So I decided to be self-taught because I don't know, well, you probably don't know, I'm 30 years old now. So I've already gone through like trying to go through college and trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. I guess I've always been into like techie things and I just didn't know it because in my community, like nobody was talking about computer science. So I just did not know that that existed. So I tried dentistry, I've tried, just different angles. And so being 30 and going through that, having student loans when I just stopped going to school, not wanting to do what I was doing, I decided that probably teaching myself would be the best start since that was an option. That way I'm not wasting money if it's something that I, say like, oh, I don't like this either. I was just nervous about that. So I started watching, I don't know if you guys have heard of Chris Sean here on YouTube. He's another self-taught developer. And once I saw that he was able to do this without any college, I was like, okay, well then I can actually do it. So that was my main reasoning.
Yeah, it's really impressive that you were able to do that all by yourself.
Yeah, for real.
Thank you.
Yeah, what about you, Sarah?
I think for me, college wasn't really an option for me financially. I had gone to like one semester and had to drop out. I was working multiple jobs to support myself and everything. So I knew that wasn't really on the table for me at that point in time. And I knew that being self-taught, I was going to struggle to have the discipline to carve out the time that I would need to learn to code. I knew that I would get caught up with work and other things, and like it would take me so long to teach myself. And I had no prior programming experience when I went into my boot camp, and really no reason to necessarily even think that I would be good at coding. So I was like, I feel like if I try to teach myself, like I'm going to get stuck and not know what to do. So I needed some type of guidance and structure, but not quite at the point of like being able to actually go to school. So coding bootcamp was kind of a way for me to meet in the middle with those two things, and it ended up working out.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess I decided to go to college because when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to go to college and it seemed like a good next step for me. And I wasn't completely sure what I wanted to do. It made, I guess, a lot of sense to go to college and try out different things. And when I was there, as I said before, I kind of fell into coding and development. So it was a very natural progression in that way. And now I have a pretty good background for my job as a software engineer. So how did you find your experiences learning to code? Was it difficult, easy, any unexpected challenges?
I think overall, I thought it was fairly difficult. I definitely had fun because I was really curious about and interested in what I was learning, so I enjoyed it. But I was working 2 jobs at the same time as doing a 6-month bootcamp program. So I would get up at 5 in the morning and go to the restaurant and then come home, go to my other job, and then take a 45-minute train ride and go to class till 10 and then train back home and do it all again. So I didn't have a lot of time to work on the coursework outside of the program, and other people had 30 hours a week to spend on the homework, and I had like 10 best case. So it was definitely challenging to kind of keep up and make sure that I was soaking everything in as we were going through the program, just with so much else going on. But I was excited and interested in what I was learning about. So at the same time, it was difficult, but I feel like I also enjoyed learning.
Yeah, so Sarah, I'm super proud of you because that is awesome that you still got that done. And to touch on what you were saying, it's like that is probably definitely the most difficult part, especially being self-taught and not going to boot camp or anything else. Just finding the time, especially like with my children, like they are just all over the place. And so doing that and just doing all the other things that go on in life, it's very hard to find that time and to be consistent. And as Sarah said before, is just holding yourself accountable and being disciplined is like really the hardest thing that I have ever had to do and still struggle with, because you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to be very disciplined to say like, there's no teachers over my head. There's nothing that I'm going to lose being self-taught. So just keeping that in mind is just very hard. And then for me being self-taught, I have no curriculum. I'm literally just figuring out what I probably need for a project. And then, okay, what language does this entail and and how do I learn it? So there's a lot of different aspects, but I would say consistency for me is definitely the hardest thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. I think that my experience is probably a lot easier than both of yours. When I was learning to code, I was in college, so I was a full-time college student. I didn't really have other responsibilities. I had on-campus job, but it was not to the level that it interfered with my schoolwork substantially. So I had a lot of time to work on the problems and try to learn and focus on learning. And even though it was difficult, it was definitely a very structured way. And I know that's not true of everybody who goes to college, so it's definitely a privileged experience. But yeah, so I guess I found it not easy to learn to code, but as the two of you are describing, there are a lot of other hurdles that could impede that I did not have to face. So do y'all have any regrets looking back on the way that you learned to code, things you would have done differently? If you're self-taught, do you think you'd do a boot camp? If you're a boot camp, do you think you would have taught yourself?
I definitely probably would have gone to a boot camp first because I feel like I would have gotten a lot further, a lot quicker. For my situation, I think I kind of got lucky finding my first job because I ended up going to meetups in my city. And I met a lot of other women who are in the space that kind of became mentors for me. And so meeting those women allowed me to be in a position where they saw the dedication, I guess, that I was putting forth as far as wanting to learn these languages. So then I was able to get my first job because there was a woman who had a position come about in her business. So, but looking back, I would definitely have, if I would have known about it when I was going to college, I would have definitely studied computer science in school. And I guess outside of that, if I didn't go to school, I would have definitely gone to boot camp because it's a lot tougher when you're just doing everything solo.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
What about you, Sarah?
Looking back, I don't think I really have any regrets or anything that I would really change. I kind of did the most that I could do at that point in time. So I think if you can be self-taught, that's awesome because you can even save like the cost of that boot camp money. But yeah, and it ended up working out well for me. I think my boot camp did help me to get my first job because it was through Northwestern University here in Chicago. And my first job was the CEO of that startup was connected through the school. And so I think that connection definitely helped. So I think no regrets.
Yeah, for me as well. I think that learning through college definitely was way more expensive, but since I had planned to go already, it made a lot of sense to learn that way. And I feel like I have a really good background now. So I'm really happy that I did that. And I feel really fortunate that I was able to do that. And now that I have these skills that I can just use in the workforce. Okay, my last question before we wrap things up. Is there any advice you would give to anyone who wants to learn to code?
I think for me, the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome was just believing that I actually could do it. I didn't have any programming experience or anything that would indicate that this was something that I would necessarily be good at. So it was kind of, I think for me, a lot of learning to program, and even now, sometimes a lot of it is just mental. And I saw people in my boot camp who on paper had the aptitude to maybe be a better programmer than me, but they didn't have the right mental attitude and they would get frustrated or get negative about what they were working on, and it caused them to struggle when they really had the potential to do really well. So I think my advice would be mindset is everything. And if you can have a positive attitude towards it and keep telling yourself that you believe in yourself and that you believe that you can do it, I think for me, that was one of the biggest things. And it really came down to that mental toughness.
Yeah, what about you, Jessica?
Yeah, again, I totally agree with Sarah. That is an awesome point because it's super hard, especially like, I know for me, I struggle with that even still. That imposter syndrome gets really real. And so, like she said, keeping that strong, positive mindset, but also knowing what's good for you. Because I have a lot of people ask me like, what was your roadmap and what exactly did you do? And it's like, but what works for me won't work for you. Just setting that clear path, like, okay, this is my end goal. This is where I want to be. What steps do I need to take and what makes sense for my learning? Because everybody learns different and there's so many different routes as we all are, putting forth in this interview. So yeah, positive mindset and just knowing what works for you and having your goals set.
Yeah. I definitely agree with both of those things. And I guess one more thing I'd add is trying to find your community. So if you know other people who are learning to code, be it through like college or boot camp, or even if you're teaching yourself, you can find a group of people that are learning too. I feel like that can really help you not feel so lost and alone in what is a very difficult pursuit in learning to code.
Sure.
Cool. Well, thank you so much both for joining me. I really appreciate y'all taking the time. And it was really nice to meet both of you.
Yeah, you too.
Hello from Editing Lena, just editing this video, and I just want to say that all 3 of the routes mentioned in this video are viable paths for landing a job in the industry. It's just really reliant on your personal goals and your resources available. So I hope this video gave you some good information, and don't forget to check out Coding Dojo. The link is in the description. You can find out all about their bootcamp. They offer amazing services, and I would not hesitate to check it out. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.
Missing someone